Someone's a Republican.
All the Spanish caused Breaking Bad to flop in the United States.
Wait, that's the end of the review?
Yeah, that was. I stopped watching season 2. That's it.
Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
TheJaredcast.
So it begins.
Hell yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to the Jaredcast. Woo,
Hi.
yay, another episode. It's Breaking Bad again. Surprise, we're doing all of it. We're not just stopping after the one season like you were hoping. We're hooked, and we can't stop. So you're gonna get too many episodes of this. And joining me on too many episodes of this is Jared. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be to continue being on the Breaking Bad train.
Yeah, we haven't kicked you off the show for saying anything disrespectful on my boy Walter White.
We'll see. Season 2 is
rough.
Yeah, it's an interesting season, but I'm happy to get into it. I'm also I liked the ending of season 2 enough that I kept watching, and I'm like 4 or 5 episodes deep I'm 3 episodes deep in season 3. So
Damn.
It's fun.
That puts you further ahead of me on this rewatch. I stopped after season 2, unlike I did last week where I watched like half of season 2 before.
Yeah,
but I'm glad I did because it's a long season. I forget how many episodes are in each season from here on out. It's a bit of a journey.
It's crazy, but it was good. I'm excited to talk about it.
All right. That's the podcast. We'll see you guys next week. No, before we talk about it, we got...
Sorry.
That sounds awful in my ears because you was right in the headphone microphone. That was rough. Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
What's our top 5 today? What do we got?
Ooh.
Top 5.
So today we forgot to make a top 5, so I texted Jared at like 10 a.m. What's our top 5? So we decided to do top 5 melee weapons from movies, and I don't know if you did TV. I did one TV.
I did all movies this time.
Ooh, very nice.
Boy.
Interesting reversal.
I know.
Yeah, but pretty much anything that's not a gun or a laser is a melee weapon. So it's a fun list. I came up with it in 5 minutes. But I struggled with picking the number 1, so I think it'll be interesting. Hopefully, there's no overlap too. But
yeah, hopefully, there was one that I wasn't sure if it counted or not, so I left it off. But I won't say what it is in case it's on your list.
Okay.
But stay tuned.
Ooh.
Little teaser ahead.
Yeah, 5 minutes ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I would love to go first.
Go first.
We got an old saying on this podcast: when in doubt, just pick some Edgar Wright movie. So I'm gonna go with Shaun of the Dead and Sean's cricket bat for my number 5.
Hell yeah!
I think it's hilarious. You get one of my favorite scenes set to music of any movie ever, with that "Don't Stop Me Now" finale. And it's great. And it's funny. And it's a bad weapon. And so it's my number 5.
Excellent choice. Yeah. My number 5 is also made of wood. It's Harley Quinn's hammer from Birds of Prey, or mallet,
Nice.
whatever. But yeah, I love this thing. I love that. I just love the look of it. It looks so much like way too big to handle in the middle of a fight. But she still makes it work. It's no secret that we're big Margot Robbie fans on this show. Yeah, that's my number 5.
Great. My number 4 has a lot of appearances. Some would say way too many appearances. And that's we're dipping our toes in a more true horror fashion with Freddy Krueger's Claws on number 4, Nightmare of Elm Street.
Yep.
I love it. It's badass. Fuck Wolverine. Freddy did it better. And yeah, so we're going number 4.
Nice. Mine is also horror related. It's of the chainsaw variety, but not the one that you might be thinking of right now, audience.
Oh.
I'm actually thinking of Ash Williams' chainsaw from Evil Dead 2. It's groovy, as he says, because it's strapped to his hand. Because it's strapped to his hand, like he cuts off his own hand with it and then replaces his hand with it. And it kind of becomes a mainstay of the entire franchise, his mainstay weapon of the entire franchise, besides the boomstick shotgun that he has. Yeah, I love Evil Dead 2. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and the chainsaw scenes are a big factor in that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic pick. Coming in at my number 3, a melee weapon that probably has the least amount of casualties on my entire list, but it has to have a spot. It's just that iconic. It's Indiana Jones's whip.
Yep.
I couldn't. It's got more uses than weaponry, and it felt weird not including it, and so here it is.
Yep. Are you a big South Park watcher?
I actually, everything about me says I would have watched South Park way too much growing up. Haven't seen a single episode in full.
Okay, interesting. I might show you one then, because it's called it's I don't know if it's my favorite. It might be my favorite South Park episode of all time, and that's saying something because there are almost 300 of these things. But my favorite episode is called "Make Love Not Warcraft," and basically they teamed up with Blizzard to animate themselves as World of Warcraft characters.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so the kids are playing World of Warcraft, and they have to deal with this really, really powerful griefer. For those of you who don't know, a griefer is a gamer who just prioritizes killing other players instead of playing the game. So in order to play the game, they have to upgrade themselves by doing tedious tasks to kill this guy, but it still might not be enough because this griefer is so powerful that he threatens to destroy the world of Warcraft. And so the developers hands the kids a forbidden weapon called that was so powerful they had to take it out of the game, called the Sword of a Thousand Truths. And the Sword of a Thousand Truths is literally just it's a digital file, so it's just a 1 gigabyte flash drive that they have to like break into a Best Buy. They have to like put it onto one of the computers. It's so good. So
awesome.
I went, and there's so much mystique, and like whenever someone says the Sword of a Thousand Truths, I go, the Sword of a Thousand Truths. And oh. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'll watch it. My number 2.
Yes.
Right, I'm on 2. Okay. This one's an iconic one. It's I was debating which version of this to put in, but there's only one right answer, and so that's Darth Maul's lightsaber.
Yep.
It's the most badass one. It's the only redeeming quality of that film, and it's too short-lived. But still, all that said, it's my number 2.
Yep. I refrained from picking lightsabers just because I thought I might make all 5 of them lightsabers if I even included one.
Yep, that's fair. I would have done the same, but I did this 2 minutes before we started recording. So
Yep. Yeah, that's a great lightsaber. Such an iconic silhouette, such an iconic image.
Yup.
Another iconic sword, though, is from a very different kind of movie, but an equally badass thing, I think. It's the final sword by Hattori Hanzo, the bride's katana from Kill Bill.
Yeah.
I love this.
I didn't put it on the list because I knew you would.
Yep. I had to,
Yeah.
because it's such a beautiful sword that it like makes people cry when they look at it. They it scalps Lucy Liu, spoiler alert. And like I just love the way it looks in her hands. Like it matches the palette of her costume and everything. It's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got unfortunate news for my number one. We've been doing good, not having any crossover, but here we are.
Oh
Number
man.
one, Evil Dead 2's chainsaw hand. It's a chainsaw as a hand. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get cooler than that.
Oh man. Yeah.
It's been a few weeks since we've had crossover.
I know. When was the last
upset.
one?
Couldn't tell you. Maybe all the super fans will leave a comment below.
Maybe they will. My number one is the third sword in a row. Jeez, I just noticed.
But
But
they
it-
had no lightsabers on there.
I know, yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people were, when this movie came out, were bitching about it being a Deus Ex Machina type thing, but I don't care. It's Pacific Rim. Who cares, man? Like, of course, I'm gonna pick the GD6 chainsword that they discover last minute while they're being flown up into space by a giant kaiju pterodactyl, and of course, Guillermo del Toro makes it into a whip that straightens into into a sword and then cuts the pterodactyl in half. It's freaking dope, and I
I
love
think
it.
that's the most Pacific Rim sentence you could have said. It's a whip that turns into a sword and it cuts the pterodactyl in half.
Yep.
Like that is the movie.
That's the movie. And I love it. I love his eye for design. Of course, we've hyped up Del Toro a bunch on this show, so I had to shout him out again.
Hell yeah. Great list. The second best list on the episode, I would say. The one that I was thinking, but I was like, I'm not sure if it counts, is the like cattle bolt gun in No Country for Old Men, because it doesn't shoot a projectile, but it's still like a gun, and so I wasn't sure if it counted. So there's a little honorable mention, I guess.
Yeah, but maybe for top 5 movie guns, we'll have it on there.
We can include it, but now I won't.
Oh man.
Oh, no. Season 2 of Breaking Bad.
Woohoo!
I thought it was good. But you know who didn't think it was good is Amy Rand dash 36198.
Cool.
Bad reviews.
Who gave the series as a whole. But she mentioned season 2. Well, never mind. She says she didn't watch season 2.
Oh wow.
Anyway, 1 out of 10 here saying this. Semi-okay story, but too much foreign language. If you want to succeed in a country that plays you, speak its language. Drop the Spanish, especially with no subtitles. I will not be brainwashed. I stopped watching beginning of season 2.
Someone's a Republican.
All the Spanish caused Breaking Bad to flop in the United States.
Wait, that's the end of the review?
Yeah, that was. I stopped watching season 2. That's it. And this was in 2019 too. So she's like, if you want to succeed in the country, it's
Oh
the
my
most
God.
popular show ever, maybe.
Stupid.
Yeah. but I picked it because there's a lot of Spanish in this season.
There is. I love
And
it.
so I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we dip our toes into season 2 here. We see the fall of Tuco, and I guess the very beginning of the rise of Gus, and a dark transition period for the two of them. The show kind of follows a pattern in a way of whenever they're real successful, they ride that high and then they crash to a low, and then they kind of go up again and crash to a low. And a lot of this season is a low. It's a hard one to watch. There are some brutal deaths, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and just some general debauchery. You see a lot of the negative actions. Most of the season really is all the negative things coming out directly of their drug business, and it's kind of bookended with a plane crash, which is teased every few episodes. It's episode 1, 4, 10, and 13. And if you read the titles out, it says 737 down over ABQ.
Yep.
And so it's kind of all leading up to that big plane crash that the season ends on. I like it. I think it's another great season, even though it's real hard to watch and it's a lot less fun than the first.
Yeah.
But in terms of TV, it's still real high quality. You get some extra gorgeous cinematography. They lean into that. They kind of tone it down on the color theory a bit here too, which is nice. Not a lot, but the yellows are a little less ham-fisted into your face.
Yeah.
It's just a little more subtle, I guess. And you get some great villains. Skylar gets a bit of an arc, and so we were kind of disappointed in her treatment season 1. But season 2, she kind of gets a little more agency, even though a lot of people still absolutely hate her at this point. Skylar gets a lot of hate in this, and I'm like, she's kind of just a victim.
Yeah.
But I like the way they handle that. I like Jesse's arc in this season a lot. I like Walt's kind of fall from grace, and you get some good stuff. So overall, I like it a lot. Should we do ratings off the top? We did it at the end last episode, but we normally do it off the top.
Yeah, we can do ratings at the top. I think I'm good.
I'll say 9.4. Just barely edging out season 1 for me by like 0.1, I think, is the difference. But yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's great. What'd you think, though?
I really loved it. But I think you know, some of the stuff that bugged me last season continued over here in this season. The thing with Marie, I think, again, could have been a cutout
there.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get into that since I did that last episode. I think this is a really beautiful season. I watched the behind the scenes for it, the little featurettes that they put up on YouTube. And Vince Gilligan said, like, nothing in this show ends up having good consequences. And I think that's maybe one of 2 central themes in season 2, which I like. Yeah. All the bad things that happen in season 1 and happen in the beginning of season 2, all of them kind of get thrown backfire back into Walt's face here. We also see, like you said, a darker tone. There's less funny moments here. The cancer symptoms are a lot worse. I'm convinced there's at least 10 minutes of footage of Bryan Cranston coughing,
I'm
which
sure
is fine.
A supercut that exists somewhere.
It's fine. I think there's excellent prop work here in this season by the prop master, Mark Hansen. Jesse's gun was a real gun, and it feels like it has real weight to it. The needle that him and Jane use is really, like, it feels like they're really injecting, because it's a very long and painstaking process of injecting yourself with heroin. and they do a good job handling that. Every item that they carries real weight in the show. But the season 2 is also about identity. As Walt and Jesse become isolated from their loved ones, they both struggle to answer who they are. And so does Hank also, which is a big plus for me. I think
Hank's storyline this season's fucking fantastic.
it is fantastic. One of my bigger critiques of the season, though, is that the last like 3 or 4 episodes kind of forget about him, which is which is like fair because they're very
a lot
intense.
of other things happen, but
yeah, there's a lot of other things happening. But I remember thinking in the middle of like episode 11, I was like, where's Hank? Where's Hank? I forgot about Hank. So that kind of bugged me a little bit. But the green thing continues to bug me. I understand like using color theory in your production design, your set design, your costume design, but it especially at the end starts to get unbelievable when his hospital gown is green, when Jesse's bathrobe in rehab is green. Like
yeah.
I love the green walls, I love the green lights. Those are all awesome, but when it does that, I didn't really like it. The payoff though with the 737 thing was really excellent. Overall I loved it. Still not 9 territory though.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it an 8.9.
Gotcha. Do you remember your rating on the first one? I think it was also 8.9.
It was
Or am
8.8.
I crazy? 8.8. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, both a slight improvement for both of us.
Yeah.
You mentioned a theme that I guess we can start off with because it'll give us a lot of character arcs to talk about, and that's identity.
Yep.
You really see Walt torn between being like this provider and family man in a roundabout way, and also a greedy little drug lord, which culminates in that decision to do a drug deal over witness the birth of his own daughter. And so I guess we can start. What were your thoughts on Walt's identity issues in this one?
Yeah, like you said, it's father, provider, and drug dealer, and these things these things keep clashing. Whether it's with his interactions with Skylar, whether it's with his interactions with Jesse, and the thing about it that's painful for him is that no matter what he chooses, he has to do it dishonestly with dishonesty.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he punches his reflection in the paper towel dispenser, which is a great scene. I love that scene.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think the kind of the duality between like Heisenberg and Walter is I love that it gets so much it gets blurred so well here. Whether he's in the hardware store or whether he's like just like talking to Jesse, it's really really interesting. And I think it like what we said last season about the show's like heart being Walt and Jesse's interactions, like this inner conflict with Walt gets even more twisted this season because he does care about Jesse. He does care about the like him being alive and him being healthy, but the drug dealer and the provider thing and the father thing get twisted in that relationship, and so there's this really I'm not a psychologist. I don't know if it's abuse or codependence, but it's really disturbing to watch, especially when he's dealing with Jesse's addiction and the way he responds to it. It's like I remember watching the scene with him and Jesse in the crack house, and it was, first of all, great set, by the way, an amazing set, and like while they're in the middle of this like dirty, grimy environment, there's this really pure moment of Walt comforting him, but at the same time you think like, is he just comforting? You're double thinking yourself. Like,
Yeah.
is he just comforting him because he needs Jesse to continue the business? Is he
Mhm.
just comforting him because, uh, he needs Jesse to not suspect him for being the reason Jane's dead? Yeah, it's really twisted and it's really hard to watch, and I love it.
Yeah, you do get like a weird toxic father-son relationship between the two of them, especially toward the end of this season. They realize that they're both alone. Like Jesse gets rejected by his parents again in this season. He meets somebody and then she's taken away from him. And so they're both just alone and outcasted from people they love, so they really only have each other.
Yeah,
And this is kind of epitomized for me in the scene where Walter sits next to Jane's dad and doesn't know it because
yeah,
they're talking about like fatherhood. He's like, "Oh, don't you like wish they would just listen all the time?" And like Walter Jr. listens like a motherfucker. Like he does what he's told. That Walt's talking about Jesse in that scene.
yeah,
Um, and so like subconsciously, Jesse is just his child in a way.
yeah.
And it adds for a weird relationship that you were talking about.
I agree.
You know,
Super cool.
yeah. And then with Hank, you get a great identity crisis, where you get like his hyper masculinity thrown into an unknown environment, and then dealing with PTSD, but trying to keep his macho facade. And it's great. You see Hank like become really human in this season. You get a lot of empathy for Hank because in the first one he's kind of just an asshole, who's doing a good thing. Like he is on the right side of the law, um, but he's such a dickhead in that first season.
Yep.
But this one they humanize the shit out of him, especially after the Tortuga episode.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's great. I like it a lot, and I know you're a fan. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. They really sharpened the idea of Hank as a foil for Walt
Hmm.
because they're both family men. They both make their own drugs.
I was just gonna say they both brew intoxicants.
But where they differ is that Hank is disgusted by the violence in the war on drugs,
Hmm.
and Walt is invigorated by it.
Yeah, he
Eh,
sees the necessity of it almost.
Yeah, yeah, and especially in episode 7, Negro y Azul,
Hmm.
which is one of my favorites this season. There's like so much discomfort in Hank's demeanor that we're not used to seeing, and
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I think it's great. I think um, the the duality of, or not the duality, but like the difference between Hank and his leadership versus the way that Walt deals with the student who's like trying to get a passing grade versus the hypocrisy that Walt is showing towards Jesse.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's really interesting, and it makes you root against Walt for most of this season from that point on. I love it, and I love. Um, yeah, I just have a big soft spot in my heart for Hank.
Yeah. It's crazy how they can make him from going like this unlikable dude to like someone you empathize with and actually like care about and want to succeed,
Yes.
uh, just like on a dime, really.
Hmm.
After Tuco's death, you see like his panic attack in the elevator, and you're like, oh, this man's human. He just
Yeah, yeah.
pretends not to be. And I think it's great. Fucked up they gave him Tuco's grill though. That's a weird.
It's so it's so morbid, but
Yeah,
like,
but it's spot on
yeah,
for that culture.
yeah, and like I remember reading about like war trophies in Vietnam and shit. Like,
Mhm.
and that's kind of what I feel like that's kind of what that is like, these people are fighting, like in a war, and and some of them are on the front lines of it, and they come back changed, and it's crazy. But some of them dehumanize the enemy um, and make trophies out of them, and I love his rejection of the trophy in the next episode or the two episodes after. I don't remember.
Yeah, when he just tosses it.
Yeah.
I know you were real critical on Tuco as a character in season 1.
Mm.
I'm curious how your thoughts on how they wrap it up, because I don't think they don't do what they did with Crazy 8 and like humanize him a bit.
No.
You get some with the abuelo, but I don't know, it's still kind of missing. But like the way he goes out is super intense the whole time, and
Yeah.
it's a cool little shootout at the end of the day. So I it doesn't change how I felt about him as a character in season 1, but I'm curious on your thoughts on how that wrapped up.
Um, I appreciate it because it's an obstacle for Hank to cross. It's an obstacle for Hank, Walt, and Jesse, which I
Hmm.
really like. I I love the kind of the whole episode too is really cool actually. Like Tuco seeing
Yeah.
right through Walt, but only to a point. Like he
Hmm.
um
He's
his
blinded by his own greed, really.
yeah
He's like,
yeah
well, this guy's shady as fuck, but I can make a hell of money off of him. So,
exactly. And I think he like throws Jesse to the ground, including the first time. I think 4 times,
mhm,
and after that fourth time, like you're like, oh man, like Jesse needs to really hit back. And so the payoff with the
yeah,
brick in the face is really excellent.
mhm,
Um, that whole ending sequence from Hector trying to stop Hector Salamanca
yeah.
trying to stop.
From him slapping a burrito on the floor too.
Yeah, that was so good. That whole sequence right up until the end when you hear when Hank kills Tuco is nonstop excitement. I just
Mhm.
wrote like bullet point after bullet point after bullet point, like oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Um, I think it's amazing. One of my favorite Walt quotes from this season was "You're an insane, degenerate piece of filth, and you deserve to die." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh shit." um, but I still don't really like Tuco as a character, but I like him as a vehicle for discovering the Hector character because in just that
Mhm.
scene, he's already like an amazing villain. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Hector's
I
fantastic. That and the interrogation where he just like refuses and then just shits himself on purpose.
yeah, man,
It's
that's
great and
that's a real
it's
OG.
awesome. Yeah. And it shows it's a good like start to showing that Hank doesn't understand like the Mexican culture that he's dealing with and trying to fight against,
Yeah,
which ties in heavily when he gets the El Paso promotion. So
yeah,
it's a good like first dip into that even more. Um, Not that we would think that Hank would be a understanding of other cultures kind of guy, but nonetheless, there's that.
right.
One person who he still struggles with identity this season, but more so it's he's pretty much a victim throughout, and that's Jesse.
Yeah,
Victim because of his own actions in a way, but um, yeah, he finds love. A short, brief relationship with. I was watching. I forget who did it. Um, it was a recap and like brief analysis, and they called Jane Choco Ono,
oh my
and I
god.
thought I thought that was real dark. Um, but I'm gonna steal it for this podcast. So his brief relationship
Jeez.
with Choco Ono. Um, yeah, it's brutal. I know. I think this was one of the things that got spoiled for you, right?
Yes.
Was
Yeah.
Jane's death. Did it still have the impact that it had on me? Because they'd have a lot of setup with like his father or her father, like genuinely they humanize her father a lot uh, before that, and so I don't know. I think it still has punch even if it's spoiled, but I'm curious.
Oh yeah, if anything, like having it spoiled made it worse because there's this constant sense of dread, like,
Hmm.
oh man, I think this is a hint that she's going to die this season. I think this is a hint that she's going to die this season. Yeah, for we talked about this off camera last week. There are a couple things about Breaking Bad that I know are coming, and
Yeah.
this was one of them,
Yeah. The plane
because
crash too, right?
yeah, I knew about the plane
Yeah.
crash. I knew
Did
that
you
the
know they
Teddy.
were connected?
No, I did not know they
Oh,
were
okay.
connected. I did
Cool.
know about the bear though, and I think I know
Hmm.
what the bear is foreshadowing as well,
Yeah.
because it's not just the plane crash. There's something else.
Hmm. It's
If I'm
also in
correct.
the mural in Jane's room. I don't know if you saw
Yes,
that,
I
but
saw that. Yeah, that was
yeah.
awesome. But yeah, what was I gonna say? I love Kristen Ritter. I fell in love with her and her performance ability from Jessica
Mhm.
Jones season one. Don't watch season two, just watch season one. By the way, it's on Netflix. But yeah, during the interview, she mentioned being an addict who dies on Breaking Bad, and I was like, oh damn it. um, and I sort of knew that it was Walt's fault. I didn't know how it would go down though, and
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, that's one of the most brutal TV deaths I've ever seen.
Yeah. It is rough to watch. I've seen it like 5 times and I still like kind of tear up and like want to look away the whole time.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
bad.
When they like the sound effect of choking and drowning, I think is one of the few things that still bothers me in movies and TV,
Hmm.
in a good way, because it should bother you. It should,
Yeah.
when you see a commando like wrap their arm around someone's neck and then they just quietly like shush and drag them into the
Yeah.
bushes.
You hear like a twig snap sound of their neck.
Yeah, and it's like it's like nothing happens. But when you actually think about what it takes to strangle and drown a human being, it's
Hmm.
really, really violent. And like, I think it started when I watched Casino Royale, and like, there's two big drownings in that movie, and it's really, really hard to watch.
Yeah.
And I think it's bugged me ever since. And so the sound of her dying is really crazy. The sound of or the fact that her eyes open up right at the last second is
Hmm.
absolutely insane. Walt is actually like crying, like I was like, oh shit, like this got to him. Like
Yeah.
he's actually like, he knows that that he can't justify what he's doing right now.
Hmm. Especially
And
with the daughter on the way. Like,
yeah,
oof.
like and they foreshadow it like literally that same episode when she's telling Jesse to turn on his side so that he doesn't choke.
Hmm.
Um, it's the most disturbing scene in the series so far, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I think every sweet scene between her and Jesse felt like there's a tinge of bitterness in it, because
Yeah.
I knew that she would die eventually and that she would relapse.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's real intense. But I'm glad they actually went that hard with that death, because
Yeah.
it leads to 167 other people dying, and
Hmm.
the violence of Jane's death should, because the violence of the plane crash is something that we don't see. Like the violence of Jane's death needs to be potent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and it hits even harder because it's like Walt is in a hurry in that moment. Um, and he stays and watches. Like there's no question like, oh, he could have saved her, but he had to go do something else. Like no, he
No.
stood there and like watched because he knew it was better for the business. Which is insane. It's one of the most heartless moments in the entire show.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, and it's rough. It's still hard to watch. Still, um,
Damn.
yeah, it's brutal. Another brutal death. Uh, ATM. I guess we could go to that. Speaking of effects of their actions,
Yeah.
We talked about it a bit last episode where they don't glorify like the meth usage or business at all.
Right.
And this episode or that episode with the ATM um, doesn't, and it pulls no punches either. Like from the set design there to the abandoned child, like just looking at him, you're like, oh no, like this is bad. And like the acting by both the junkies is impeccable. They absolutely killed it. Like
Yeah.
it's so depraved and raw. And that ATM death is brutal to watch. It
Yeah.
doesn't have quite the same punch as Jane drowning in her own vomit, but still, it's rough. Yeah, I don't know. One of my favorite scenes. You don't have to comment on it if you don't want to, but
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with it. Yeah. It is brutal. I've seen like worse head crushings, so I think that's
yeah.
why I was like whatever about it. But
Hmm.
I did really really love that episode, specifically for Jesse's arc through it.
Yeah.
The fact that his first instinct while he's on an assassination mission is to care for the
Hmm.
kid, I think is so beautiful. And the we get, I think, only one of two chemistry lessons in this season, with
Yeah.
carbon being at the center of everything. So understanding the value of individual life
Hmm.
right before we deal with this killing of a junkie is really really interesting and cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that carbon lesson a lot because it really humanizes people. We're all the same shit. Like we're all just a bunch of chemicals bouncing around that happen to work out in the right way.
Mm,
And it's great. The other class, I go back and forth on how much I like it. It might be my least favorite so far, where he just kind of talks about underappreciated geniuses, like the person who invented the synthetic diamond.
yeah.
Um, just a bit on the nose. Like even the students in the class are like, "We get it. You're smart, and you don't want to be teaching us. Like, come on."
Yeah.
Um,
He's
but it's
just
still
now
tight.
connecting the lessons to his real life. Like,
Yeah. But it still connects and it's still cool.
yeah,
I still really like those scenes. But the season one class episode or class scenes were a bit better in my opinion.
for sure.
Um, we get some more commentary on the American healthcare system. Um, just more of them screwing over well, like it's expensive and it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
I don't think they really ever go much deeper than that on it.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. You have any thoughts on that as a subject?
I do love the way they direct the doctors because they don't smile or
Hmm.
like look sad, whether they're delivering good news or bad news.
Yeah.
It's all super just words on paper, and I love that about it.
Hmm.
When he decides to pay for the surgery in full, they're like, "I think you made the right decision," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's so cold! Like, what the like?"
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
And even when they say that the cancer's gone down by like 80%, Skylar doesn't know if it's good or bad because he reads it so flatly.
yeah,
Which I do like that scene a lot because she's always telling Walt to be like the optimistic one or something.
right.
And when there is good news, she's kind of in denial because she expected bad news and only bad news. She's like, is that good? Do we want that?" And so I think it's a cool little layer peel off of Skylar.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Mm.
Um,
Speaking of Skylar, we get a little more of her. She goes back
yes,
to
we do.
work with her old boss Todd, uh, touchy Todd. She tells Walt that she left because of like safety concerns with the manufacturing. But there's an offhanded remark with Marie where she's like, "Oh, um, Mr. Touch-a-Lot or something. She has some weird bad nickname for him. Just like, is Mr. Touch-a-Lot still there?
Oh
She's
my
like,
god.
yes, but he's better now. And so you kind of get hints that it was actually a sexual harassment thing that happened.
Yes.
But that does not stop the sexual tension between them because it is palpable throughout.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know your thoughts on Skylar. You thought she was an underutilized character in the last season. And we get almost full episodes dedicated to her this time around. So what'd you think?
Yeah, it's better. It's an improvement. And I can see why a lot of people are annoyed with her, or why they hate her. I was a little annoyed. I was a little annoyed because
Yeah.
she does nag a bunch,
Mhm.
and she is petty. But so is everyone else in the show.
Yeah. And look
So
at everything Walt is doing, like, to her. Like, he just disappears for days on end without telling her anything. Like, yeah, she's gonna be she's gonna be on his ass.
yeah, and like their marriage before this was so nice. It was like they were both like very happy, very like
Mhm.
looking forward to the future before he had before he said that he had cancer. So and before he started keeping secrets from her. So I'm not like 100% on anybody's side in this show, but I
Yeah.
think to hate Skylar is to miss the point of Breaking Bad.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, she's almost 100% a victim. Like,
yes.
it's like her flirting is a bit out of line, but she's being neglected at home through and through, and so
Hmm.
you can't really fault that natural response to seek comfort in somebody familiar in a way.
True, true, and it is a little weird that it's the boss, especially in today's world,
Yeah,
in today's
bit
conversations.
bit uncouth, and a boss that only became the boss because of nepotism.
Yes. So yeah, it doesn't help at all. I
So
do.
maybe don't make her do the Marilyn Monroe impression on your birthday.
Yeah, that was my least favorite scene in the whole season.
It's
Like,
very cringy.
I had to. I just looked at my popcorn. I was like, I'm not gonna fucking. I'm not gonna watch this.
I'm gonna
Um,
unpack this one.
so stupid.
Yeah.
But they do the whole song like. Ew.
And she's like very pregnant during it, and it's like not. There's coworkers around. One of them is freaking out about the candles. Any chance there's a silent? She's like, Todd, the candles.
Oh man. Oh shit. Yeah, super uncomfortable. I would say my favorite part about Skylar's arc in this season though is her choice to not report her the boss,
Mhm.
because it's an easy foreshadowing for what happens when she Ye- when she will eventually discover Walt's antics. Um,
Mhm.
Antics feels like such an under.
His antics of murder and being a drug lord, and causing planes to collide.
His little shenanigans.
His couple of pranks throughout the years.
uh, when she eventually learns the truth, I think she'll be cool about it eventually. Like I don't think she'll say anything.
We'll see.
We'll see. I don't know. But I appreciate that that's there because it gives us an information like, oh, no one has a perfect moral compass in this show.
Yeah.
And so that's what I like.
Yeah. Especially like her shaming him and then immediately backing down and be like, okay, I'll work for you still.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's easy to flip flop. I guess is a way to put it.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, and then we also meet Saul Goodman. You were kind of excited for it.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on him? He's not in this season a ton. He comes in kind of late. I think like halfway through the season.
Episode 8.
And he pops in every now and then. But thoughts on Saul?
I was not disappointed. I mean, I'm never
Yeah.
disappointed with Bob Odenkirk. I think he's a
Yeah.
fantastic actor in everything he's done. Oddly enough, he used to be like in the writers' room for Conan O'Brien's show, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Him and Conan were writers on SNL together.
That's crazy.
Like early, like I think 80s when like Chris Farley was on and shit. Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I love him. I think the way they reveal his face with Badger's arrest is so amazing. That's one of the best directing moments in the entire show.
Yeah.
Because you know who the character is, why the gang needs him. It's like it's all done in one wide two shot, and it's one of the dumbest ways to get
Jared
caught.
loves his 2 shots.
I do love my two shots, um, and it's just one of the dumbest ways to get caught. It's so funny.
Yeah. But it's
I
also
lo-
real manipulative. Like
yeah,
the cop is outright like entrapping him. He's like, "Hey, if I tell you I'm not a cop, you don't have anything to worry about." He's like, "I'm not a cop. Sell me drugs now."
oh man, I want to know how how a guy that skinny could make it into the police force in the first place.
Yeah. Hey, he played that that maybe he was there just for the sting operations.
Maybe. Yep. Um, yeah, I love the Better Call Saul episode. I think his first scene is absolutely beautiful with the fake styrofoam pillars and the We the
Uh,
People in the background. And
you get everything you need to know just from his office, really.
yeah, I take Visa and MasterCard, but definitely not American Express. It's like, hell yeah. Um, I think his meeting with Hank is short but sweet. They butt heads a little bit. His meeting with Walt is even better. Um, the idea that like money talks is this guy's language, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love though the hostage situation when they take him to the ditch in the middle of the desert, or not
Yeah.
not hostage, but whatever the killing.
Yeah. The intimidation idea.
Yeah,
Um,
and as soon
yeah.
as he learns that they're not cartel, he's in control.
Yeah.
And
He's like, take off your mask. You can't breathe. I know you're a cop.
exactly, and like put $1 in my pocket, make it official. Like he's
Yeah.
they've got
And he's
guns on
still
him.
trying to swindle them. Like,
It's so good. It's so good,
yeah.
and I really appreciate them including him in the show,
Mhm.
and I know that he'll open up the world of Breaking Bad a whole lot more. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what's coming.
Yeah. Nothing beats a criminal lawyer.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about Saul? Because I know you've seen
Um,
this multiple times. And did you watch? Do
yeah.
you watch Better Call Saul?
I watched the first season and then forgot to watch the rest, and then I never bothered after. And so I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I liked what I saw in the first season, but it was when it was airing live, and so I
Okay.
barely remember it at all.
Yeah.
I like Saul a lot though. He's a good comedic relief, especially in this season where it's very dark and grim. He's just kind of like squirrely guy who gets everybody out of situations. Um, yeah, I think he's fantastic. Bob Odenkirk is amazing as always. Yeah, and I like him here, and I like where he's going down the road. He's tight. I also really like his partner in crime, Mike Ehrmantraut, who
Mm-hmm.
comes and cleans up Jane. He's kind of Pulp Fiction's The Wolf, but in
Oh, okay.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Like he just solves problems, and it's great. He's an excellent character. I don't think we get too much of him in this season, but going forward, he plays a bigger part. So him and Saul are just a perfect pair because he's all business. Saul is all like manipulation and ideas, and so they pair as well as like Jesse and Walt. Really, they match each other's chemistry and energy super well.
Nice.
Big fan of both of them.
Did you see Community before Breaking Bad or Breaking Bad before Community?
I think I saw Breaking Bad before Community.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
pretty late on the Community train.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't watch Community until college, but I love Jonathan Banks from there, so I was very excited to see him as well. Besides Bob Odenkirk in Breaking Bad, I didn't know that the two characters would be so closely linked together. So I'm
Yeah,
excited for the future.
yeah,
Um,
it's awesome, and he's just one of the most stand-up guys, in the only stand-up guys in the whole show, really.
oh wow, okay,
Um,
cool,
yeah, he's good people.
nice, nice. Um,
Um,
does like there's a lot of like interruptions to the like the show loves to in this season at least start and then stop and then start and then stop and then start and then stop. Like
mhm.
does rewatching that like does it feel like better or do you feel better about the pacing or do you feel like you just want to get to the good shit?
Um, I like the pacing of it, and I kind of always have. I've never. A lot of people say it gets a bit slow, especially this season. It was kind of a complaint that I saw people have. Um, but I like it because I don't know, I like knowing more about like Skylar and like what she's got going on. And I like
Yeah.
I don't know, it fleshes out the world and it makes every consequence hit a little harder. Um, and so I like it. I like when they take their time and kind of have these weird offshoot episodes where like, oh, here's a cold open and it's just combo and he's just gonna get shot by a child this episode. Like that's just what we're gonna dwell on for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it has a purpose. Like it just shows how far things stretch and like the consequences stretch away from just Walt and Jesse. So I'm a fan. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have
Um
complaints about the start and stop kind of pacing of it all?
no, cuz I love world building and I think this show is or this season is where they really start doing that because the world building is directly related to the causes and effects of other people's actions.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, here are these people in this area, and here are these people in this area. It's like we're gonna go into this area, and because we go into this area, these people come back at us, and
Hmm.
because those people come back at us, we're gonna do this thing. And
Yeah.
so I like that about it. Yeah. Does I know the like do they I'm trying to figure this out without like having you spoil for me. It,
I can avoid spoilers pretty well.
yeah.
Just ask straight up, and I'll do the filtering, I guess.
Do they? Because they do it a little bit in Negro y Azul, but do they stick with like American drug trade or do they go international as well? Because like the Salamanca
Yeah.
is they're a Mexican cartel, right?
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And they do.
Okay,
They expand. Some of my favorite villains are like a pair of twins from the cartel that are super
yeah.
badass.
I've already met
Um,
them in season. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay. I wasn't sure if you're quite there yet. So you get like flashes of it. Primarily, they stick to above the border,
yeah,
but you get reminders that like, hey, this shit's just as real all over the world. I'd say like you can't fuck with this either, which is super nice, and that's why Negra y Azul is one of my favorite episodes too. Because one, you get a badass Danny Trejo appearance, which is
so good.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
always welcome. Um, and so it's just a nice little like reminder that like things are fucked up here. We're watching like white on white crime up here, but like we got some hard hitting shit everywhere. It's not just limited to here.
yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah.
That is cool. Um,
Too much Spanish though. I really wish it was.
yeah, so weird, so weird. Do you think they balance it well though? Like, including Hispanic American culture in the show, even though it's mostly a white cast.
I don't think so, because really all the Hispanic characters in the show are like drug users or dealers.
Oh,
Like
really? Okay.
they kind of they kind of do it dirty. At least from what I remember. There might be a character or two that I'm missing.
Yeah.
Like Hugo was a stand-up guy, but even he got like arrested for smoking pot.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, I wish they had just like a straight edge. You get what's his
Gomez.
face in the Gomez.
Yeah.
But you don't really like see a lot of his culture. Which is why I like the DEA in El Paso, because
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, we respect their culture and we want to learn about it so we can like think how they think, some art of war shit. But they're not like, oh, these racial slurs, blah blah blah. Like,
Right.
these people are like less than human. They're like, no, these people are human, and there's a lot more that aren't drug dealers. And so it's, I don't know, they do a better job in those moments, but overall, it's a pretty whitewashed show.
Yeah. I don't know enough about the show yet to critique it on that level, but
Mhm.
I did notice in season 1 and even in season 2 that a lot of Hispanic music and Hispanic food and Hispanic production design gets used in the show,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that like they include it and that it's a factor, but
Mhm.
I don't really know what the connection is to Walt's journey and
Yeah.
Jesse's journey. If it happens later on and they connect it later on, cool.
Yeah.
But
For me, I think it's kind of the same as how like New Mexico and Texas, which is where this season really takes place. The influence of southern border that it has on like those states, because they kind of adopt that culture into their own a little bit, Texas
yeah,
especially. Um, and so I think it kind of ties into like that, and also like those cartel moments. This show has like my favorite cold open with the ranchera band that
oh
just like
yeah,
narrates a whole tale about it. I think it's great. It's
yeah,
it's awesome.
I
And
love it.
it's cool because it also shows that like Heisenberg's reputation is already like spreading like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
Like people are writing songs in different countries about him. And I just think it's great, but they don't really have any like main cast that they do justice with the exception of like Gomez.
yeah,
From what I remember, I'm probably forgetting something. I guess Hector has some more connections, but
yeah. And Gus is Afro Latino, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, he's I was gonna point out him because he's kind of interesting. He sells fried chicken under a Hispanic brand,
Hmm.
and I think that's another, like, they don't explore it a whole lot, but it's interesting that like he's found a way to capitalize on American audiences with a
Yeah.
Hispanic culture. So he's like a uh, I don't know, a reversal of the other way
Hmm.
around.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I,
And
I
he's great because he's one of the like the few smart people that they meet along the way.
right,
Like
yeah,
he's a good businessman. You even get that in season 2. You're like, this motherfucker is careful as shit. He knows like problems when he sees it. Like when he's touring the DEA office, he's like, first question he asks when he sees Walt's photo, he's like, is this one of your agents? Because if it is, I need to kill this motherfucker. Um, he doesn't say that to Hank, obviously,
right,
but so like he's on top of his shit, and it's great. They do him pretty decent justice, despite him also being a drug dealer.
yeah, yeah. It's cool. I can't wait for the more menacing stuff because I know that's kind of what made him famous in
Hmm.
today's world. We've briefly talked about Giancarlo Esposito on the show from
Yeah.
his work with Spike Lee being like kind of just not just, but like a lot of his characters being like loudmouths and being hotheads, and then here it's such an
Hmm.
interesting reversal because
Yeah.
he's so cool and so collected and so calculating. I love it.
Yeah. He's great, and I'm excited to rewatch his journey because I like him a lot. He's probably my favorite villain in the series,
Good.
which isn't a hot take. He's a lot of people's like
Yeah.
that's just a common thing.
He's every casting director's favorite villain now.
Yeah,
In
true.
the show.
Shout out to you, the Mandalorian.
Yeah, man. The Mandalorian, the new Far Cry video game.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yup. We could do favorite episodes. I got some fun facts for you if you want. Not a lot of fun facts, but
Let's do fun facts and then favorite episodes because I feel like
okay.
we have similar favorite episodes.
We did already say 3 of them now that I'm looking at the list. 3 of my 5 fun facts. The first was the titles, which is pretty obvious.
Yes.
They're the only ones that stick out and the only ones with the bear in the beginning. Then the bear on Jane's mural, them both manufacturing intoxicants. Jesse was supposed to be killed off in the season 1 finale, and they kept him around. It would be a much different show if they didn't. I don't know what it would be.
He never said like where the show would have gone without him.
Not that I've seen.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, we were planning on killing him off, but everybody liked him so much that he stuck around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine the show without him. Even like season 2, like
Yeah,
you get full episodes of Jesse wandering around drug dealers' houses or drug addict houses.
Yeah, it's
you know.
half of the season when you think about it. Like
Yeah.
and like
He
some
gets
of
a
the
lot.
some of the only like scenes of levity are between him and Jane too.
Mhm.
Like
And that ends well.
sure, but yeah.
And then we get 5 breakfasts in this season, bringing us to a total of 9. You get some high points where Walt is real into it when like Walter Senior cooks some breakfast and he's all hyped on. He's like, "Fuck yeah, Dad!" And then you get some low points where Skylar brings him the wrong cereal. He's like, "The fuck is this shit?" It's great. You get more Walter Jr. breakfast action, and how could you not love that?
Nice. I only have a couple fun facts. One was that episode 9, 4 Days Out, which is an excellent episode, was an homage to Flight of the Phoenix, a movie where they had to where a pilot crash lands a plane and then has to rebuild a smaller plane from scratch, from the parts of the plane, in the desert. The band that plays in the beginning of episode 7 is a real band called Los Cuates de Sinaloa. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce it, but they're like a real Southwestern American band, Hispanic American band. And then also the entire season was mapped out from beginning to end for season 2, and they decided not to repeat that because it was so painful. It was such a painful process that from season 3 on, they decided to make it up as they went along. And
I think it pays off though. It's a very cohesive season. Like it's got great bookends on either side. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, you kind of have to when you do the very slow 737 reveals.
Yeah, true. Favorite episodes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's go every other because you stole all mine last time. You said that the only ones that I had written down.
Well, let me just I'm just gonna say, like, honestly, 6 through 9 is like
Yeah.
like even though I love penultimate episodes and I love finales and I love openers, like 6 through 9 I think is so clean. You get a bunch of good stuff that I'll get into. What about you?
Yeah, I like a lot. I had let me do some scrolling. Season or episode 2 was fantastic.
Yes.
Mostly because of Hector trying to call out Walt and Jesse. It really makes that episode, and I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Episode 5 was pretty tight. You get Jane and Jesse meeting, which is cool.
hmm
You get Skinny Pete being robbed, which is a terrifying scene. Her laugh haunts my fucking dreams.
Dude.
And you also get a great ending to that with Hank's PTSD with the bottle caps popping, and he
Oh,
pulls a
yeah.
gun on the beer and Marie. So you get a lot of good Hank stuff in that episode too, which I really like.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, episode 6 is fantastic, as you said. Episode 7's great because Tortuga, that alone deserves. And then I had one more. Episode 11, I liked a lot, even though it's the one with "Happy Birthday, Mr. President." I still like it a lot.
Yeah. That's the main reason
Regardless.
I excluded it.
Yeah, it's cringy, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
The rest of the episode's great. You get Jane's relapse, which is a big moment. You get the failed meeting with Gus, and then the real meeting with Gus, which is great. And the stealing the meth from a heroined out Jesse is also fantastic.
Yeah.
I liked episode 12 a lot too.
It was great.
Yeah, and then honestly, from 6 to the end of the season is pretty much my list.
Nice. Does he keep the goatee for the entire thing?
I think so. I think
Damn.
at least most of it. Why, not a fan of the goatee?
I just like the mustache so much better. I know I'm biased, but like
Yeah.
I don't know, I like the mustache better.
Yeah.
It's okay though. It's okay.
The mustache is very Walter. The goatee is more Heisenberg.
Okay. That makes more sense.
I think it fits better like that. He might shave it off. I don't really remember. I just remember the goatee being a heavy mainstay for a while, I think.
Yeah. I'm trying to like remember the DVD covers off the back of my head, but I don't remember. Okay, yeah. So episode 6, I like pretty much everything Jared already said, and what we said about Jesse's arc and how great it is, his interaction with the kid, and like the whole time you're like, oh man, like human life, but then you see the way they treat the kid, and you're like, maybe they kind of deserve to die. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But
I'm not.
I felt that when I was watching. Negri Azul, we talked about how great that was. The only thing I didn't like about this episode was when they were arguing about Raisin Bran Crunch or Raisin Bran. How about no Raisin Bran at all? How
Hot
about
takes.
eating good cereal?
I think Raisin Bran is both not good and underrated, if that's possible. I don't think it's as bad as people say. Like, I'll eat a bowl if it's there, but I'm never craving a bowl.
Yeah. I never drank milk or almond milk, and thought, wish I had some raisins right now.
Wish I had some old grapes to really spice this up.
Yeah. It's
More
just
like
never-
raisin bland, am I right?
Even when I was a little kid and I was being forced to eat it, like I didn't eat the raisins. I don't know. I just ate the bran.
Yeah.
But yeah, the turtle bomb scene was pure freaking gold. Like, of course, the asshole border feds would fall for a trap like that with their arrogance.
Yeah.
And Dean Norris's acting is amazing. Of course, takes my breath away.
Yeah.
And
And the shot of the dude with the missing leg, I'm like, fuck. Like,
it's a crazy
they
moment.
don't pull away at that moment either. They're like, we got good effects, so we're gonna show you this dude's leg blown the fuck off.
Yeah, it's great. And I love the transition away from that scene because they cut to Jesse in a museum and the atom bomb is in the background. And then he meets with his crew right next to an artillery shell. It's great. Episode 8, of course, Better Call Saul. I love it. And like, especially the last scene, like, holy shit, he just shows up in his classroom and completely unravels everything that Walt worked
Yeah.
so hard for. And it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
you suck at this.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, that's awesome.
Immediately make yourself a necessity in the business.
Yeah, it's great. And I love episode 9. 4 days out. I love it. It's not quite a bottle episode, but it's almost there.
Yeah.
For a moment you forget about the cancer and you forget about
Well,
the
till
business
he
stuff.
coughs blood up.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's why the blood coughing is great, because it just it hits hard
snaps you
from
back.
because of that. Yeah, exactly. The time lapse is really interesting. Like on the road, like I'm like, how long did they keep the camera running?
Yeah.
Jeez. And I think just having Walt and Jesse back together and like bickering over the petty stuff rather than the heavy stuff, it puts a smile on my face. And I like that they kind of gain a little bit more respect for each other by the end. It's the best cooking montage so far in the show.
True.
I haven't seen the rest yet, but this, even though they're doing something evil, when he says 600,000 each, like, it put a
Yeah.
smile on my face. I was like, yeah, man, you
You're
did
like,
it, and
fuck
you're
yeah,
2 days
get
ahead of
that
schedule.
bread.
Like, let's go. And I love having characters pushed to the breaking point. When my protagonist, the more of a loser my protagonist is, the more I'm in. And
Yeah.
I love
Like,
that every
Walter straight up accepts death. He's like, well, I guess I deserve this. Like,
yeah,
this is
man.
it.
Yeah, and I love what Jesse says near the end, like, whatever happens, your family will get your share. Like,
Yup.
damn, dude, they're a
Hell yeah,
team.
Jesse. Yeah, it's great. And you get like to see Walt being a genius again. Like it's
Yes.
a very season 1 episode in season 2. Like
Mhm.
it has like their classic like banter and bickering, and also that relationship that makes it so good. You've got Walter flexing on him a bit, but Jesse just like throwing things out that it somehow works.
Yeah.
You get a lot of charm in that one. It's fantastic.
Yeah. A lot of season 2, and I think it'll continue through the end. I'm not sure, but I think is a lot of, oh shit, TV. Oh shit,
Yeah.
that character did. Oh shit, this is happening.
Oh shit. A head
And
on
so
a turtle.
exactly. So I think just having an episode where you can just cruise and like, how do you solve this problem? I think that's fun TV for me, and I love that this show still is willing to do that even this late in the story.
Yeah. And yeah, it will continue. You get some oh shit later down the road too.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Anything
Anything else
else
you
you got? I hate us.
I guess that answers that.
We've been recording together too much. We didn't even mention Naked Walt in a supermarket, but that's some good comic relief too.
It was, yeah. Finally got to see that Cranston booty.
Sweet ass.
Booty Cranston.
Mhm. Yeah, that's season 2. I'm
season
excited to keep moving, keep on schmoving through it.
Me too, man. Me too. I'm excited to meet Jesse Plemons because I'm still waiting on him.
Yeah, it's a while.
Okay,
I
okay.
think you don't get your hopes up too much.
Oh man, yeah. I'm excited to meet him. I'm excited to see more of Mike because, like I said, I love Jonathan Banks and Community. So
Yeah.
I'm really stoked to see him doing that. And also shout out Bob Odenkirk. Feel better, man. I don't know if you're listening.
True.
I don't know if you have anything else to do while you're
listen to this podcast.
while you're recovering
Also,
from.
come on the podcast. We got a spot for you.
Yeah. From the hospital bed. Let's go.
Yeah. What else you doing?
Oh shit. Yeah, man. They're gonna wrap it up. Like Better Call Saul's. This is the last season, so I'm probably gonna jump straight into it after this.
Yeah,
Or should
I
I
honestly probably will too.
Yeah. Should I watch El Camino after Better Call Saul, or
I don't think it matters because Better Call Saul is a prequel to Breaking Bad.
yeah,
And
but
El
they
Camino's after.
but they bring back a lot of Breaking Bad actors. Like I saw,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I've only seen season 1, so I can't vouch for any spoilers
Okay,
in Better Call Saul. But I
Yeah.
think that's just like, hey, this guy, this is him before he was he was there.
Yeah, I just from looking at the actors IMDb, like I saw that like a few of
Yeah.
them return.
And they even like hint at it in this because they're like, oh, he got Emilio off essentially for getting caught red-handed. So you know that like Crazy 8 and Emilio are probably gonna be in it. Mike is obviously in it because they're homies.
Nice.
Hugh, I think is his name. The like gigantic cue ball looking guy who's like the security guard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
He's in that. He's great too. He doesn't have a lot of action in this moving forward, but
Yeah.
he's a good lovable guy.
Yeah. Oh, to answer your question from last episode, I like Jesse's drug dealer team.
Yeah. Sans combo now, but
Yeah.
but yeah, Badger's fantastic. And Skinny Pete's cool too, but Badger's my favorite out of the 3 now, 2 of them. If you want, follow us everywhere.
Yes.
Listen to us everywhere. There's a link in our bio that'll point you, in our bio and in the description of this, that'll point you to all those places. Hit us up. Let us know your thoughts. Anything else?
We love you.
We do love you, except for you. You know who you are. We don't love you. Everybody else, we do.
Yeah, you can go to hell. Everyone else, come into this
Why are you
group
listening?
Yeah, get out of here.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Well, see ya.
See ya. Bye.